Okay, we're going to create a quiz in Scratch, and there's quite a few instructions here, some slightly more complex, but if you follow this video accurately you should be able to complete the quiz and get it working. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to have a quiz master. I've just kept mine as Scratch the Cat, but by all means create something you wish as your quiz master and you can edit this later. The first stage then is to create 3 buttons to answer our quiz. So if I just hide myself a second, down the bottom right you can click on Scratch and you can paint a new sprite or use a sprite. So I'm just going to click on Scratch and it'll add me to choose a sprite, and if in here you just type button, you can choose one of the buttons that are available. So I'm just going to choose this button here, button 2, and then it puts a button onto my stage. And what you can do here is you can then go to costumes and just put some text in here, and I'm just going to put the letter A. You might want to change the colour. I think by default it goes purple, but you might be able to change that just by selecting it and using the fill, and you can choose more of a white fill or a colour that's going to stand out. You can completely edit that to your own choice. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on my button, but you can go back and improve that later. So that's created the button for A. Once you've got a button for A, you might just want to right click on this button and click duplicate, and it makes another button, and then right click and duplicate, and all you need to do is go back to button A and you can call that, give it a name on the sprite. So I'm just going to call mine A button, and likewise on the next button you can go in and edit that to have a B, and you can just call that B button and then click off that. So you've now got a B button. Let's just call it B button in here so it's clear what it is. And then you can create your C button. So by clicking on the 3rd button you can edit that, make that a C, click off it. In the sprite name you can call that C button. So you've got your 3 buttons for your game. You've got your quiz master and 3 buttons, and you can neatly arrange them just like that. So that's the first stage of the game, of making all the objects that you're going to need in your game. And once you've got that, we can start adding a bit of a script, a bit of programming to our actual buttons. So you can spend a few minutes, you can pause the video and just improve the look of your elements before you actually move on. So the next stage is to work on some variables, and we're going to create a variable, and by clicking on code we can go to variables and we're going to make a variable. So this button at the top here, make a variable. And we need to make several variables. So the first variable that you're going to make is called answer. So you just need to make a variable called answer. It's going to be available for all sprites, so you can click OK. You're then going to make another variable, one called clicked and one called score. So make a variable, and this one is clicked for all sprites, OK, and then make a new variable, make a variable called score, OK. Now you'll notice that the 3 variables appear in the top right corner, so top left of your game, answer, click, score. By unticking them they all disappear, so we can leave them all hidden away for the time being, so that's fine. So we're going to create a bit of code for button A. So I've clicked on button A, and at the moment there's nothing in the code, and what we're looking for is an event when this sprite clicked. So when we click on the button, so we can drag that in, when this sprite clicked, we're going to go back to our variables and we're going to set the variable, which is this one, set the variable, oh, cancel that, not quite sure what my computer's now doing, Seems to be scrolling down. There we go. So set a variable. And we're going to set, instead of answer, we're just going to change that to clicked. Set clicked to 1 so that we know that the button has been clicked. And we're going to change our answer, so set answer. For button A, we're going to make our answer a 1. When we do this for button B, it will be a 2, and button C will be a 3. So when this sprite click, which is A, we're setting answer to 1. So that's what we've done for button A. We're going to do something very similar for button B. So we're going to need 2 of these answers. I'm going to drag them in while I'm on this page. So one of them's in already. Just drag the second one in and go back to the event when this sprite clicked. So when this sprite clicked, we can drag that in. So because this is button B, we're going to go set clicked to 1, which means that the button has been clicked. And we're going to set the answer, because it's button B, to 2. So we're converting an A to 1, a B to a 2, and a C to a 3. So answer is a 2. And then the computer can recognize this as we need it. So I need to do the same for button C. When this sprite clicked, so I've dragged that in, go back to my variables, and I'm setting this variable here, so drag it in. At the moment it says set answer to 0. I'm going to change this to set click to 1. Set clicked to 1. And I'm going to set my answer, because it's button C, I'm going to set this to 3. Set answer to 3. Now you might decide to have 4 options in your quiz, in which case you'll need to do the same for button D, where it'll be set click to 1 and set answer to 4. But that's up to you if you want 4 buttons as opposed to 3. So we've set up our 3 buttons. The next stage is to go to our Quizmaster. So I've clicked on the sprite, Quizmaster, which you might have edited yourself, and we've got an event. And the event is going to be at the start of the game. So it's when the green flag is clicked. You can drag that in. What we need to do is set the score to 0, the answer to 0, and click to 0. So we can set our 3 variables to 0. So I can drag in first one, second one, and the third one, and just block them together. So we've got set answer to 0, doesn't matter the order. We're going to set clicked to 0 to say that nothing's been clicked yet, and we're going to click or set score to 0. So we want our score to be 0 at the start of our quiz. So score to 0. Now we might want our score to be visible, so we can bring score up here, and you might want the score to appear in the top right corner of the game. You can move that where you want it to be. So I've got a score of 0. We don't want our answer or our click to show, that's just stuff happening in the background. So the first thing after we've reset all our score and everything is we might want our Quizmaster to say something. So what we can do is click on looks, and I'm just going to drag in say hello for 2 seconds and just drag that into the blocks so it's going through here. So in sequence it goes through each one of these instructions, and instead of saying hello, I'm just going to change this writing to welcome to the knowledge recall quiz of the year, and that's going to say that for 2 seconds. So that's the first thing that'll happen, and then I'm just going to have another comment after that. So just drag another say in there. And all it's going to say is, say, click on me when you are ready to start the quiz. And that's going to appear for 2 seconds as well. So the next stage I'm then going to produce is another event. Click on event, and it'll be when the quiz master is clicked, because that's what we've told the person playing the quiz to do. So when this sprite clicked, I'm just going to put a little wait in for a second, probably make this half a second. So just drag a wait in and change the time to 0.5 seconds. And then I can ask my first question. So I can just go to a say. This time I'm not going to put any time on it, I'm just going to have a say. So dragging that in after half a second, and it's question 1. So I can put question 1. And then this is where I can use my knowledge organizer. So looking at my knowledge organizer that you've all got, I can then choose a question from my knowledge organizer along the lines of, what is the first stage of a project? So there's my question. Now, as well as having the questions, I need to have the answers. So I can have A, I could call it the execution stage. B, initiation stage. C, the evaluation stage. So as you know from learning about projects, we know that the first stage of a project is the initiation stage. So my correct answer here should be B. So then I'm going to put a wait in here. We don't want Scratch to do anything while the person's thinking about the answer they're going to give. So I'm just going to events or control, and I'm just going to have a wait until. So I can drag a wait until in. And this is where we're going to have to build up our answer. So I'm actually going to go to operator, which is the green one. And I'm looking for my equals, something equals something. So I can drag that in. So wait until, and I need to go to my variable. And it's clicked that I'm going to use. So I'm waiting for the answer to be clicked. But it has to be the right answer. So wait until clicked equals 1. Well, that's just saying if the button has been clicked. So remember on our buttons we had clicked equals 1, clicked equals 1 and clicked equals 1. So it says an answer has been given. Wait until clicked equals 0. Clicked equals 1. So I've dragged that in. So that will just pop into that little shape. There we go. So then we need to reset our clicked to 0. After it's been clicked, because then it'll be waiting for another answer. So set clicked to 0. Following that, we can see if our answer that we clicked was right. So that's going to be an if and elif. So if and elif, we can go to control, and one of the blocks is if something then whatever, else something else. So if and else. So we can drag that in. So we've got an if statement. This would be looking like a diamond decision on a flow diagram. So if, and we're trying to say if the answer is B, which is number 2. So we need to build up a operator. And again, we're looking for an equals. If something equals 2. So we can drag that in. Remember our correct answer for this one was B. So here we need a 2. If answer, we'll go back to our variable. If answer equals, that's clicked. Let's just make sure we choose answer. if answer equals 2, just hover over it, a little white line around the shape knows it's going to pop in. And same when we build this block up, we hover over the area until we get a white shape around. Oh, missed. Try again. A little bit fiddly sometimes to move these into the correct place. Just move it out. There we go. If answer equals 2, it's a delay on my computer while I'm recording. There we go. Hopefully that's done it. If answer equals 2, then we're going to change our score. So we've not got score on the variable, but with the drop down box, so we can change that. Change score by 1. So I'm saying my score goes up by 1 if we get it right. So click to 0. If answer equals 2, change score by 1. Otherwise, we can just put a message in and let the person know that they didn't quite get that question right. So we'll do it for 2 seconds. So we can just drag this in. And we can just change that to incorrect. Incorrect. And if they get it right, we might just want a well done message. So after we've changed the score by 1, we can just drag it in and say correct. So they get instant feedback that that's right. And that's how we build up the quiz. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to drag my question, the whole block that I've got for a question, starting from this weight to here, and I'm going to right click and duplicate that whole block, and just took that there as a kind of template, a copy for each other question that I'm going to produce. So I can build my first question back in there. If it'll just go. Again, waiting for the delay on my computer while I'm recording. Hopefully that's got it. Should just all lock together. So again, my template question, I can right click, duplicate, and this time I can just drag my template question, all of it, second to catch up, underneath my first question. It's finished playing up. There we go. So this will now be question 2, and I can have another question in here. So just looking at my knowledge organizer, I might want to ask a question, maybe what is the, this time I'm going to go to last stage of a project, and it's the evaluation. So this time my answer would be 3 because it's C. So now I can test my game, and what should happen is welcome to Knowledge Recall. That was a little bit quick, so I might want to change that time, the intro, a little bit longer than 2 seconds. So click on the sprite when I'm ready, and then I get a question. What is the first stage of a project? A, execution, B, initiation, or C, evaluation? So we know it's initiation, so I'm going to click on B, and hopefully my score has gone up. So I'm now in the testing phase of my game. What is the last stage, I've missed a space in there, of a project? Now I'm going to purposely get this one wrong. So I know it's C, but I'm going to click A just to check my score doesn't go up. So I get an incorrect, my score's not gone up. So I know that works. So once you've got to this stage, you can then start building up further questions, just adding them along to the bottom, keep building that up, and then you've got an opportunity to have an introduction message, just make the whole game look better. So hopefully you'll be able to use your knowledge organizer to create a series of questions to test yourself and others on everything you've learnt this year.